to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true.
It's so important to be able to see people that look like you and practice like you doing these mitzvot.
In my experience, it feels like I'm closer and more connected to God. It's very spiritual for me.
And for me, the sacred act of putting on tefillin, of having actual cloth, actual pieces of Torah with words of Torah on them on my body, tell me that my body is sacred and something to be proud of and something that is worthy of God and worthy of Torah.
I get ready to put on my tefillin, and I always take my tefillin bag and I put it at an angle so that it's essentially vertical, and I unzip it with my right hand, and I reach my right hand in and take the shell yad, the tefillin for my arm, out, and I unwrap it, making sure to keep the straps on a table or a surface so they don't touch the floor. And mine has this nifty little cardboard top that's kind of missing even a piece. And I unwrap it, and I take my watch off. And then I roll my sleeve up as high as I can, almost like I'm getting blood drawn. And I take out the shel yad, and I make sure that the knot is on the right-hand side. And I slip it onto just about the mid part of my bicep. I begin to pull the strap so that it sits in place, and I imagine that the box sits right about at the level of my heart. That's kind of how I know it's at the right height. And at that point, I say the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehaniach tefillin. At which point, because I wrap in the Spanish and Portuguese tradition, using a Sephardic style of wrap, my straps wrap outward. So I do one below the bicep. And then I begin below the elbow. And the first one is not complete, so I don't count it. And the rest, I count to 7, but I don't count using numbers. I count using the verses from a line from a psalm. So I'll say in my head, Poteach et yadecha umaspia lachol chai ratzon. At which point I'll wrap the remaining around my hand. And that verse means, open up your hand and sustain all living things.
The head tefillin is a little hard for me with my hair wrapped in a mitpachat, and there weren't many examples of this, so I had to talk with a lot of teachers about strategies for doing this. So what I do is I unwrap the head tefillin, again being careful of the straps, and I'll aim to have the box at the center of my head here, right at my hairline. Now I've loosened my tefillin a little bit more than they would be without the scarf, just to make sure that I can get it over my headscarf. And then I kind of bring it down so that I have this tefillin right here at my hairline, in between my eyes. And then what I do to make sure that there are no barriers between my tefillin and my body is I kind of tuck it around underneath my headscarf. Once the head tefillin is in place, then we move on to the hand, which is in part the most complicated piece of it. So what I'm doing is I'm just unwrapping my tefillin that was secured in place while I was putting on the tefillin on my head. And again, we're just gonna be mindful of the straps one more time. This is also a little bit different than the Ashkenazi style wrapping, in part because we've just been going in the other direction. So the first step is to wrap around the middle finger. So you'll wrap once around the middle finger, kind of at an angle, above the knuckle, then once at an angle below the knuckle, and then the last time is around both the ring finger and the knuckle. So I've wrapped it now so that there's the Hebrew letters Shin, Daled, and Yud, which spell out Shaddai, which is one of the holy names of God. And then I just wrap the extra tefillin around that center piece of the shin, wrapping around the excess here in the center of my hand to secure it in place, so that when I go to pray now, my hand is free.
Now I return to the shel yad, to the hand tefillin, and I unwrap where I've latched the leather and my palm. I undo the remaining leather pieces, at which point I take the leather strap and I go to my middle finger. And I always remember it because there's a vein that runs from your middle finger all the way to your heart. So that's what connects the initial shel yad box and the finger wrapping for me, is that this is all about the work of the heart. And I wrap my hand, I continue in the Sephardic style. Not only do you wrap it out, but the hand wrapping looks different as well. And so in the Sephardic style, I do under the knuckle, at the knuckle. Then I do once around the tip of the finger and a second time around the tip of a finger before coming down to make almost two parallel, like an equal sign, along the top of my hand, at which point I come under the palm, at the back of the palm, and come over the very top, and then I go towards the middle of the palm and come back over the top of it, and then I loop it back under a few times to secure it.
Now we're done wrapping tefillin. After I've said my prayers, I'll unwrap my tefillin in kind of the reverse order of how I put it on. So first we'll start by taking off the hand tefillin. Just gonna undo my process here. Take it off the hand, take it off the fingers, and then just wrap it back around so that it's not in the way as we're taking off and putting away our head tefillin. Now we'll remove our head tefillin. And for me, again, because I tucked it up under my scarf, I need to kind of pull it up a little bit so that it's around there. Great. And then I like to neatly put my head tefillin away before I start putting away my hand tefillin or my arm tefillin. This part can be a little tricky, and every tefillin is a little different. Since mine were well used before I got them, they had actually like almost a memory to them, to the leather, and so I follow the leather memory that they have. And I'll put that one away. Then we undo the hand, we undo the straps on the arm. And then again, I just follow the memory of my tefillin. So sometimes the tricky part is that it's hard to keep the straps on the backs, especially since these are nice and small. The straps are also small, but they do just barely fit around the edges of the box. So it can be kind of a tricky thing to put them away. Also, the straps always get twisted as you're putting them on. Sometimes they fall off. So I'll put them away like this, place them nice and neatly in the bag, and then we're all set.
Two forms of dust, of the one and the many, a vapor to moisten them both into clay. Two hands to form us, to guide us and shape us, until we are ready to walk away.